slight delay. We were going through a schedule change. So earlier Ghanshyam Prabhu used to give the class. Now it's going to be done by like different of the leader groups. So now the youth will start giving the class. Before I start, I remember few names. I remember Nibir, Harish I know, Umakant. What's your name, Mataji? Sai, nice. And what about you, Mataji? Nivedita. And any of you coming for the first time for this class?
I'm coming for the
First time, okay. And Kamal Prabhu is also coming for the first time. Very good. Thank you all for coming. This is a good way to spend the Saturday evening. I ask people at my work and like college and all, like what are you planning on Saturday night? Most of them are like 9 to 5 I work from Monday to Friday. Saturday, Sunday I'm going to drink in a bar. But this is the good way to spend the weekend where you were there. What was discussed in last class? Do you remember the topic?
About mind.
Correct, mind. And in mind, I think Ghanshyam Prabhu had given a diagram of a chariot. Please forgive my drawing, I'm not a professional artist. This is my bad version of a drawing. I'm not even going to draw a horse, I'll just write horse over here. God knows what I'll do. Okay, so let's see. Umakant, there are 7 of horses. What are these? Sorry, 6, my bad. 6. What are the horses stand for? Nibir, what does the whip stand for? The reins of the chariot. Anybody else? Whoever remembers?
That is mind, Prabhu.
Correct, Prabhu. Kamal Prabhu is like very scholarly right now. Very good. Anshu Mataji, what is this? The chariot. What does it stand for? This is the senses, this is the mind. What is the chariot?
body.
Correct, body. What is the guy who's driving the chariot, the charioteer? What is he standing for?
That is intelligence, Prabhu.
Intelligence. So we have covered mind, intelligence, mind, body, intelligence, senses. Who is this last guy over here who's sitting in the passenger seat nicely? No, stop. I need somebody else to answer. You are answering all of them. Mataji, why don't you guess? What do you think this is? Mataji.
Soul.
Correct, very good. Soul. So, anybody has the Bhagavat Gita, the physical hard copy at the moment? Just give me the one. So if you see, a very nice diagram is given representing just that with much better drawing than whatever this is. So it's representing how the conditioned soul is traveling in this world right now, in this material world. So these horses right here, these are the 6 senses. The reins are the mind. It's being controlled by the intelligence, and at the back seat, this little white guy who's very scared is the soul. That's us. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So, Nibir, what do you remember from last class? Any points you remember about mind? When Ghanshyam Prabhu was talking about mind, what do you remember from that? Anything which you remember briefly also?
Very hard to control.
It's very hard to control, correct. Umakant, what do you remember from last class?
There's a hierarchy of mind.
Hierarchy in the mind, very good. Anybody else? Apeksha Mataji, do you remember something from last class?
Restless.
Restless mind. Mataji, what about you? Do you remember anything from last class?
We talked about Bhoga and Vikalpa.
Sorry?
We talked about Bhoga and Vikalpa.
Correct. Bhoga and Vikalpa. Very good. So, that was the mind. Now, before I proceed to the topic today, Prasanna Prabhu, can you get the glass of water, please? Before I proceed with the topic today, I'll just expand a little bit on mind because this right here is a very interesting topic. Mind is something that, is our greatest enemy at the moment. How would you describe mind, by the way? Mataji, what would you give one word for mind? If you had to describe the mind in one word.
It's restless.
Restless. Mataji, mind. One word. Whatever comes to your mind. Thank you. Whatever you think. Okay, Kamal Prabhu. Powerful. Nibir.
Processor.
Processor. Very nice. Krishna Das Prabhu.
Restless.
Restless. She already said restless. Use a different one. Can't copy the answers. Chanchala. What does chanchala mean? Same thing. You just changed the language. I caught you right nicely. Okay, let's see. Harish Prabhu, what do you think mind is? One word.
Thoughts.
Thoughts. Okay, thoughts. Very nice. I want all of you to take a second. Remember the most troubling, irritating, depressing time which left you in a lot of pain, in a lot of misery, in a lot of suffering, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. Just take a moment and remember a moment in your life where you experienced that. The lowest moment in your life where you will experience the most amount of pain, where you were just frustrated, you were done with life. Everybody have that? Now just remember, that is the mind. That's the nature of the mind. The mind is very frivolous. It is very restless. It's like a drunk monkey who's just jumping around and breaking. Monkeys are anyways, very restless. Imagine if you give the guy a little alcohol, it's gone. That's the mind. It's jumping from here and there, and we have no control over it. It's very difficult to control the mind. Very few of us in this life actually achieve mind control. Some of us are so dominated by the mind, we don't even know that we are being controlled by the mind. We start believing we are the mind. Whatever thoughts we come, we don't take a second and say, maybe I'm not this thought, maybe this thought is just coming and going. We start believing this thought. Oh, this person said this to me. Like, how many times this has happened? Somebody might have said something lightly to you, that, hey, you're looking a little extra chubby, like in a joking manner or something. Your mind starts overthinking. What did that person tell you? Oh, is he calling you fat? Oh, I shouldn't have eaten that burger yesterday. Oh, and it will go into a whole Netflix series of how you should have not eaten something and just tortured you throughout because of one small comment. The mind is like that. It gets triggered very quickly and it just goes on its own. If we don't control it, then it just does its thing. And mind is uncontrollable. It causes the most damage. It's like, a wild elephant, if you leave it in a village in ancient times when wild elephants were left alone in the village, they could trample the entire village. A big elephant, he's angry, he's aggressive, the huts are made of grass and mud and all that. They used to break it in 1 second. Similarly, the mind, all the damage, everything that it has come in our life is the mind. It's because of the mind. And if we don't learn how to control it, we're just going to be pulled by the mind. This mind is going to, the mind is operating through these senses. And imagine if you're driving, you book a cab from here to your place, and the guy is just driving wherever he feels. Like, you tell him left, he's like, nope, and he goes right. You tell him to go straight, he just does whatever he feels. Like, he's not under your control. You'll be very tense, you'll be anxious. That is what happens when your mind is uncontrolled. And the mind operates through the 6 senses. Let's see who quickly can tell me the 6 senses. Salon Prabhu. One of the 6 senses. Touch. 6 senses.
Smell.
Touch, smell. Which was the other one? Somebody can just shout it out. Or enough.
Taste.
Touch, smell, taste. Anything else?
Sight.
Sight.
Hearing.
Which is the lucky last one?
Seeing.
Sight is already there.
Yeah.
I think it's 5 now.
Huh?
5 senses.
Correct. This is me making a mistake. So it operates in these 5 senses, and the mind makes us do things which we may not usually do. Like, it says, eat this, do that, do this. How many times it has happened? You've woken up in the middle of the sleep and you just were probably going to go back to bed, but your mind says, there's leftover pizza in the fridge, why don't you go and have that? And then you go and you think you'll have 1 slice, and then you end up eating the whole pizza, and then next morning you just woken up in a full groggy mood. The mind does that. The mind keeps on using these 5 senses to completely, dominate us, control us. But what is controlling the mind is the intelligence. The guy over here, this is the intelligence. It's operating through the mind. The mind is a subtle organism, subtle system, but it's being operated by the intelligence. And wherever your intelligence or wherever your desires, your consciousness is focused, your intelligence will use the mind to work in that way. For example, drug dealers. Now, usually people think they're dumb because most of them are uneducated, from low or poor sectors of the country. Most of them, Pablo Escobar. Anybody have heard Pablo Escobar? Yes, Pablo Escobar was from a lower middle class family, not even lower class family in Colombia, which is a poverty stricken country. But just because we think that because he's not got formal education, he's not intelligent. He was very intelligent. He was absolutely intelligent. Only problem was his consciousness was stuck into sense gratification. He wanted money, he wanted power, and his mind intelligence worked in that way. How do I smuggle cocaine into America? I get the pilots, I bribe them, I hide it under jacket, I cut the seat open, remove the phone. That's all very intelligent. It's not, don't mistake, don't think that this guy wasn't intelligent. He was absolutely intelligent, just that his intelligence was driving him to the wrong way for sense gratification. Why do we run towards sense gratification? Why does the intelligence love driving us to sense gratification? You see so many people, robbers also, when they rob a house, very intelligently they'll plan out everything. Their intelligence is operating, and then all the senses are activated through that. The intelligence will say do this, the mind will figure out a way to do it, and the senses will be engaged in doing that. I'll watch this video to learn how to do this, I'll learn how to break the lock. Our senses are completely engaged because the intelligence is driving it. Now, what we don't realize is neither of these are us. Apart from this, neither of these are us. All of them are like a coat, like a coat you wear on top. It's with you, but it's not you. You can't, if I scratch a coat, you won't go to the doctor and say, I'm bleeding, give me stitches, okay? It's like, it's an external thing. Similarly, this body, mind, intelligence and all, everything is not part of you. The scientists say every 5 years, I could be wrong, but I think it's like 5 or 7 years, each cell in your body regenerates. Like all the cells die, the cells you have now, within 5 years, all of them will die and new cells will come up. So basically, you're changing bodies also every 7 years. This body that you have is not you. When you were small, you had a different body, your height probably this small. Now you've grown up and now you've got a different sort of body. So we know the body is not us. The mind also works wherever you put it. You want to learn guitar, if you focus your mind on one particular thing, your mind will start giving you thoughts also related to that. So mind also is kind of controlled by, is not part of us, it's a mechanism. Whatever data you put into it, it just recycles and gives it back to you. That's the mind. Intelligence also, whatever data you've collected over time, it will just, according to your desires, it will give that order to the mind. And senses, this body is of 5 senses, we try to enjoy it in different ways. But we don't realize that this is the one that's actually, bearing all the consequences, the soul. Now why am I saying that is, because the intelligence, most of the people today, intelligence is usually leading them to sense gratification. That is the idea, that is the reason why everybody who's operating today is doing something or the other. Deep down, their desire is sense gratification. I ask you, you're working in a big corporate, you're a vice president, you're a CEO, what are you trying to achieve? He will give you some reason or the other. Eventually, if you go deep down, his reason is, I want pleasure. Who doesn't want pleasure? Anyone wants pleasure? Everybody wants pleasure, right? Nobody wants to suffer. Everybody is looking for pleasure. But this material world, according to our scriptures, is called Dukkhalyam Ashashatam. Dukkhalyam means a place of misery and temporary. So nothing is permanent over here. Even this body is going to go one day. Everything that you've accumulated that you're so proud of is going to go one day. So nothing is going to stay with us. But our intelligence is unable to understand that. There was we know if you go to a funeral, has anybody been to a funeral? Has the unfortunate circumstance to go to funeral? You've gone. Funeral, we see the other person body burning and all that. We know one day we are going to burn. Everybody around us is going to burn. Yet for some reason our intelligence is no. That guy must have died, I'm immortal and nothing will happen to me. And it lives life like that. How can I, just live for the today? Just how can I gratify my senses without thinking of the consequence or anything like that? Intelligence is constantly attacking sense gratification. In this material world, we think that this is going to give us pleasure, but actually it's not giving us pleasure. It's causing all our suffering. All our suffering is caused because our intelligence is constantly attracted to sense gratification some way or the other. I can give you multiple examples of this. Alcoholics, why do they drink alcohol? It's bitter, it doesn't smell good, they know that they're going to get a headache, stomach is bad, their entire family is telling them stop, it's bad for you. It's written very clearly on the labels that alcohol is injurious. Smoking, they show, I don't know if you've seen Indian cigarette packet, is the most disgusting thing you can see. Full bodies open. It's everybody knows that it's going to be harmful, yet they do it. Why? Because deep down their intelligence is saying sense gratification, this is what you're trying to achieve, this is where pleasure is. And then we try to make our endeavors towards this and it leaves us in suffering. And then what happens? Karma. We do some action, we think we do it for pleasure without thinking of the consequences, and then that action just bites us in the back in the long run. That's what's happening. what the Shastras are trying to tell is, rather than running towards this sense gratification, which is never going to be gratified by the way. If you think that I can eat this food and I'll be, attaining nirvana, I'll eat, like how many times your mind has said, why don't you order this in Uber Eats, you order this, you'll feel good. You eat that, then your mind instantly finds a new desire. Why don't you get dessert now? Why don't you do this now? Why don't you do that now? There's no end. It's like fire and you throw fuel to it, thinking that it's going to extinguish the fire. It doesn't do it. It just increases the fire. So the Shastras say, don't try to run behind sense gratification. Don't try to, like a mad person, just work and work and work for the idea of sense gratification. Why do you think people in corporate or businessmen, 90% in Australia it's even more, where half the people, their lifestyle is Monday to Friday go to work 9 to 5 and then Saturday, Sunday expect some sort of happiness. A businessman in Australia, like Western countries in general, they work very hard, overtime, they're neglecting family, their hair gets grey because of so much stress that they have to take up. And why do they do that? When they want pleasure, what do? They go to a nightclub, they drink wine, they indulge in women. That is the idea of sense gratification in this present age. Women and wine. That's how we think that we are going to be very peaceful and blissful. And this is causing all the issues in the world. It's very important for us to control the mind. And the Shastras very beautifully have given us the actual goal of life. Now, people that I just described right now, people who believe that they are all of this, the senses, the intelligence, the mind, the body, people who accept themselves as this body, as this intelligence, as this mind, are called Jiva Bhuta. Jiva Bhuta. Jiva Bhuta means people who are unable to come out of this compact state. Compact state, how? The soul is compact in this body. We start believing we are this body. So a person who doesn't even bother to understand what's his spirit, what is soul, he is continuously living in this delusion that he is the body, he is the mind. He is called Jiva Bhuta. Person who doesn't make any endeavors, he is completely satisfied in believing I'm the body. His entire objective in life is, how do I pleasure this body made of earth, water, fire, air? How do I make this body more and more gratified? And he completely fails in that and is suffering. The person, what the Shastra says is, the purpose of this human life, this intelligence that we have got, is to understand the Brahman, the eternal soul. That is the actual purpose of our life, which is called Brahma Bhuta. This is what we should achieve. We have got high elevated intelligence compared to an animal, dog, cat, mouse. I can't get a dog over here and give him Bhagavat Gita class, he'll just walk away. But a human being, we have got this intelligence, but what we're doing with this intelligence right now, we're just doing sense gratification things with more intelligent way. Dog has to find food from here and there and all that. We have intelligent ways to come up with our own mechanisms, but nobody's making any endeavor to understand what the eternal soul and eternal spirit is. And that is what the Shastras say is the purpose of human life. Now, Jiva Bhuta and Brahma Bhuta. Any doubts about this currently? Everybody understood? Yes, Prabhu. Go ahead.
Why is it called Jiva Bhuta?
Jiva means entity. Jiva Bhuta means the person who's conditioned in this. He still believes that he is in this living form. Even though this soul is eternal, he's going to pass through this body, but he believes that this temporary body which he has, that is permanent. Brahma Bhuta means the eternal, the person who understands that this is just a code that I've put in. One day I'll have to remove this code, it's just going to go. This body is nothing but what? We have borrowed this body from Mother Earth, one day we have to return it to her. It's on a lease period. We haven't got this for permanent. A person who makes endeavors to understand this is called Brahma Bhuta. Now, material world is full of dangers. There's danger at every step and every corner. We think that we are going to live forever, but actually you never know. There's so many people, they're young, they're 20s and all that, they think I have my whole life ahead of you. One motorbike accident, finished, life gone. All the plans and all the big ideas you had about life, gone, 1 second. One car came, gone, you did. Nobody knows for a fact I'm going to live till this time. Nobody can say that. Life may go any time. And in that time, what have you achieved in life? You got a job title, you got some mutual funds, you got some savings, okay, big deal. How is that going to help you? You're dead now, it's not going to really make any difference. Materially, it might give you some sort of comfort. That too, not you, maybe your family is going to get a little bit comfort. But what about you? Because the Shastras say that the soul is eternal, it's not going to end anytime. So, based on our desires, we get a new body. Whatever our mind is contemplating throughout is what we achieve. If you think about it, everything that we have achieved till now also is nothing but our contemplation of the mind. Your mind has been thinking about one thing. Maybe it has been thinking, I'm doing this degree, he's thinking about his degree, how do I get this certificate, that certificate. The mind is continuously contemplating. And then life itself presents you with those kind of opportunities as what your mind is contemplating. Life is nothing but these momentary choices that we make. Our mind gives us this thought, should I do this, should I not do this, should I do this, should I not do this. Based on the choices we made, all our suffering, our pleasure, our happiness, our destiny, everything is because of these momentary choices. So it is very important that we make these choices correctly. And how do we make these choices correctly? Because mind is being controlled by a good friend, intelligence. So we must train the intelligence. But what do we train the intelligence on? How to buy the new Porsche, or how do I invest in this stock and all that? Those are temporary things. There's no proof that getting these financial things are going to suddenly make you happy. I was giving this example before. There was this very renowned chef called Anthony Bourdain. Anybody heard of him by any chance? You heard of him? Yeah, you heard in my class. Huh?
Oh yes.
You have heard of Anthony Bourdain? Yes. So Anthony Bourdain, you probably would be knowing, he had the best luxurious job. He used to travel from country to country, eat he was like a very renowned chef. He used to go travel Italy, Naples, France, beautiful places, all paid for. He used to get paid $1 million to go to a restaurant, eat the finest food, give some criticism over it, and everything was taken care of. He had private jets, he had yachts, he had the best cars that you can imagine. He had multiple models that he was dating. It was like whatever a materialist thing is the peak, like the goal. This is what I achieve, and then ho gaya, I'm good, I've got everything I want. Whatever we think we want in this material life, this person had. Anthony Bourdain killed himself. Anthony Bourdain killed himself. He literally, in a lot of interviews and podcasts, he said that I am miserable. I hate my life. I'm addicted to drugs. I'm addicted to alcohol. I feel lonely, depressed. I have a house, a mansion of 50 rooms. All of them are empty. I don't have any wife. He has wife, but you know how rich people are. They just roam around and they exchange. Nothing is permanent. It's a sad, lonely life which he led. And he killed himself. He had money. He had fame. He had everything that you could ask for. Big yachts, big cars, big resort. Nothing gave him satisfaction. He killed himself. And then we should ask ourselves, then why are we doing these endeavors? If a person who has got everything that you're already wishing to achieve, he is not satisfied, he's in fact the opposite of what you thought you would achieve, he's miserable, he's killed himself, then what makes us think that we will do something different and get that idea? It's a very clear example that sense gratification is only going to lead to misery. It's not going to give you any happiness. It's like just a hamster. Have you seen those hamsters on a wheel? They hang a cheese. The hamster thinks that if I walk ahead, I'll get the cheese, but the cheese is just stuck on the top. So he's running and he's in a circle, in a loop. That's what man in the current age is doing. He's thinking, I will work like this, I will get this job and all that, and that will make me happy. And he does this, and now he's stuck with 10 more things. The nature of this material world is, the more we endeavor into it, the more we get entangled into it, like spider web. When an insect falls into a spider web, he tries to crawl out, but the spider web is made in such a way, the more he tries to crawl out, the more it gets entangled. His feet, by the end, the insect is just stuck. All his hands and feet, everything is just completely entangled in the cobweb. And then the spider eats him. Similarly, this material world is also like that. So many people are completely consumed. Work, wake up at morning, catch the train, in a stuffed train you have to go, work, boss is telling you 10 assignments, this, that, you come home, you think you'll be peaceful, no, child's education, wife is shouting at you because there are no groceries, car payment, you get a fine, you get this, you get that, there's no end to it, and they keep on doing the same cycle thinking that there's going to be some sort of pleasure, but actually there's no sort of pleasure. People are continuously entangled in this. There's so many, Krishna asked Arjuna asked Krishna that why does an intelligent man, even though he knows everything, he knows what's right and wrong, why does he also still fall in this trap? Why does he unable to understand that he is eternal soul? Why is he not able to take the correct decisions? And then Krishna says that a person who is, what was the thing? Bhagavan Uvacha, Kamesha Krodesha, sorry, I just need to look. I'm not very good at Kam Isha Krodesha Rajoguna. Yes, thank you, bro. So basically he's saying that lust is what lust only is what leads a man into these activities, and in result it creates wrath, anger, frustration. Because when the lust is not satisfied, a person gets angry. A businessman is taking endeavors, he's thinking that I'll make profit. One small loss, you see the stock market there's one small loss, they go into depression, they start taking pills and all sorts of drug abuse and all of that. Because once you are unable to satisfy your lust, it gets anger, it gets wrath inside you. Similarly, suppose you are able to fulfill your lust, you get your desires. Now, don't think you're going to be satisfied. You're just going to get more greedy. So many people are doing that. Even though they have everything, they just want to collect more and more and more. There's no end to it. They're just unlimitedly just stuck in that loop. They're never satisfied with one thing. Just trying to collect more, and in the process, they're causing so much damage. You know, I know people in like villages of India who don't even have like basic rice and dal to eat. They don't have basic grains to eat. And over here I see like for parties and all, how much food is being wasted. People order like this much and half the thing is not eaten, they just throw it. I saw like some 25 kilos of beef being thrown and like after one New Year's party. Just being thrown in the dustbin like that. How much wastage is going on? Why? Because of this greed. The greed and frustration. That's the two consequences of lust. And lust is a very subtle energy. Lust is because of an uncontrolled mind. Wherever the mind is unable to make a decision, wherever the intelligence is not trained, lust takes over, and then lust causes all our damage. So it's very important for us to train our intelligence to save ourselves from lust and get into understand our Brahma Bhuta stage, understanding what the eternal soul is. How do we do that? Does anybody have any thoughts on how do we get into the Brahma Bhuta stage? Maybe.
Chanting.
Sorry?
Chanting.
Anything else?
Like by reading Shastras.
Very good. What
What
about you? How about you? What do people generally do in the name of mind control?
Meditation.
Meditation? No, let Mataji answer.
I think like mantra or chanting.
Mantra and chanting. Okay, Mataji, anything else?
Engaging in spiritual activities.
Engaging in spiritual activities. Journaling. People do journaling, correct? Yes.
Yeah, Babu, this mindfulness activities like meditation, journaling, walking, being connected with nature, or doing some physical exercise or breathing, like that.
Correct. Very good. So, those are the endeavors that we usually take for mind control. But, you know, it's still very hard. It's not like people are able to achieve it. Like how many of you, obviously most of you would know Will Smith the actor, Will Smith was, he was doing all this meditation and journaling and all of that things. He was really good. He used to upload videos on YouTube on how he was able to make those endeavors, and he was like recording his progress and everything like that. But then, in the Oscars, one little small comment on his wife and lust took over. That small subtle anger that just triggered him. He walked on stage and slapped the guy in front of like the whole world, and he just came out and he was walking very proudly like, oh, I did such a big thing. That's how dangerous uncontrolled mind is, and that also goes to show you how difficult it is to control mind. This guy, just to be clear, this guy was doing everything that you guys just mentioned. Meditation, maybe I don't think he was doing mantra. Meditation, journaling, walking, he was an actor, he was materially also well off to do. Still he was unable to control the mind. Mind just took over him. That's why it is very important to understand we need to control this. And why does this mind play these tricks? Why does our intelligence push us into these situations? Where somebody says one thing to us, we get offended. Somebody insults our nation, we get offended. Somebody insults our dressing sense, we get offended. Somebody insults our bodily features, look like we get offended. Why do you think that is, Harish?
It's like nature of mind.
And no, that's not what I'm looking for. Why do you think we get offended when somebody insults our identities?
Because we like ourselves.
Because we, yes, like ourselves. A better example would be because we believe that those things are us. Because we have too attached to those false identities that we created. The false ego. We are too attracted to our false ego. This idea of who we are, whenever there's some change in that, we suddenly get, our world shatters apart. So many people are proud of their job titles. I'm the chartered accountant of this company and all that. Second, they are capsized, they're removed from the company. Their world is shattered because now their entire identity, it's all mismatched. They don't know what to do now. They're completely confused. Because this obsession with the false ego is what leads to sense gratification. It what leads to lust. It what leads to anger. We need to get away from this false ego and go into a real ego. What is the real ego? Understanding Brahma, Brahma Bhuta. I'll just erase this word because I think I've. This is a very effective. Should be good. Now, when we do all these endeavors, like you said, meditation and all that, in today's time, what the Shastra says is, this is the present age is called Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga is defined by where people in general, they are mentally disturbed, they are always quarrelsome, they are never at peace, they are always trying to fight with each other, lives are shortened, everything is deteriorating, everything is going down. For example, an average man's handshake 30 years ago was 30 pounds. In today's time, it's reduced by that. A man's handshake, strength is going down. Weight is going. I used to study in a boarding school which is like founded in 1959. So what these boarding schools usually do is they click photos of all the cricket teams and football teams of, like I saw photos, black and white photos of cricket team in 1920, 1960, 1930, the pre-partition guys. And oh my god, you should see how these guys are built. Like thick jaws, big muscles, all tall height. They look dangerous. You won't want to play football with them. It looks like they'll kick you. You will fly into the goal. That's how generally. And those are the pre-partition, those Sardarjis. 7-8 foot. Then they were already in tense warlike state. So they used to bring that on the field. They used to so many people during hockey. We had like a hockey team photo. They had this big muscles. Imagine somebody with that big muscles just hits a hockey stick on your leg. You can say tata bye bye. You can just limp for the rest of your life. Very strong, very powerful people. Intelligence, people, how many people used to read books, read newspapers? Like even when I was a kid, I used to see newspapers was still a thing. Today newspapers not a thing. How are newspapers being used today? In my area, there's like this Easy Mart where they sell those newspapers just lying outside. And somebody was carrying his dog, and his dog just defecated in the road. He borrowed a newspaper to remove that. That's the use of a newspaper in today's time. Nobody uses newspaper. We just scroll, reels. And what's happening because of that? Our attention span is going down. Naturally, we can see everything is deteriorating. Man's intelligence is deteriorating, strength is deteriorating. Overall society is deteriorating. The quality, an average apple in California, the nutrition quality of that over like present age, it's like 70% decrease. It doesn't have any more nutrition because we are just injecting pesticides. Our soil is going down. Our rivers are drying up. It's very clear that the Kali Yuga has already started. And this is just like the good part of Kali Yuga. We are currently in the golden age of Kali Yuga, where everything is still fine. Imagine, this is the golden age. Wars are happening. Israel, Palestine. I see 5-year-old kids dead. How sad is that? What have we come to? We are killing 5. You see child rapists. What is going on? Child rapists. What's the thing? In ancient society, if you read books and all that, how moralistic people were. Already? Okay, I'll try to make it quick. How moralistic people were. People used to, have so much respect. They used to have respect for each and every living being in the ecosystem, not only human beings, every animal, everything like that. Today we just don't care. We want to eat something, we cut the head of that thing and we put it. I've seen those butcher stores, they have like a pig's body just hanging up completely open and they're selling it. Why don't you buy this? Doesn't this look attracting? That's what's going on in that. Everything is deteriorating and we're still in the golden age. What is given in the Shastras is, in a few years' time, which we are already seeing, the ecosystem is completely degrading, there will be acid rain. And when this acid rain happens, all vegetation will completely go away. And then what will happen? Human beings will become cannibals. They'll start eating each other. That's what's going to happen in the Kali Yuga. So it's very important that we prepare ourselves. We are ready. Why is this Kali Yuga so bad? Then why is it happening? There should be some plus point, right? The plus point is, what ancient like rishis and yogis used to try to attain with like hundreds and thousand years of tapasya is being very easily attained in this age. That's the plus point of Kali Yuga. Otherwise everything is bad. Srila Prabhupada himself used to say, I'm requesting you guys, please use this Krishna consciousness and attain Godhead in this life only. You don't want to come back here. It's a horrible situation. Just now it's so horrible. Imagine 10 years from now, 100 years from now, 500 years from now, God knows what's going to happen. So you best try to make those endeavors, and life can go out very quickly, anytime. Now what is the plus point? Why is that every yuga, there are 4 yugas, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. Each yuga has a yuga dharma. So yogis, rishis in Satya Yuga, they used to attain everything through God realization through meditation. Deep meditation. And you see these stories very vividly, they describe how through meditation they attain certain siddhis, when certain mystic abilities. Then in which was it? Treta Yuga. In Treta Yuga, people used to attain it by yagnas. In Ramayana period, everything was about yagnas. They were doing big sacrifices. Ravan himself was doing yagnas. Then in Dwapar Yuga, it became about worshipping the Lord in the temple. But in the Kali Yuga, it's impossible to do anything. None of us can meditate. In the name of meditation, people close their eyes and go off to sleep. That's what's going on. Nobody can meditate. Nobody knows. Like most of the ancient scriptures have been dead. It's completely unknown. Nobody knows what Varna Ashrama system is. Nobody knows all of that. Nobody knows what dharma is. Nobody knows what karam is. People are just going. People don't even know what their gender is today. People are like, oh, maybe I'm a penguin. Maybe I'm a dog. Maybe I'm a. It's going on. That's what's going on. In today's age, we are completely fallen. And what's the plus point? What's the good thing which is going to save us in this age? And that is chanting Hare Krishna mantra. Now, this Hare Krishna mantra, it was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was a reincarnation of Lord Krishna in this age, in Kali Yuga. He came 500 years ago. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought in this system when he was a child prodigy. He was like his arguments and philosophical debates were out of the world. Nobody, big renowned philosophers, Vedantists, they were unable to argue with him. Once there were a couple of them approached him and said, why don't you start reading Vedanta philosophy? Why don't you read Brahma Sutra and Vedanta Sutra? Why are you doing simply this chanting and dancing around and all that? And he gives like a very mocking reply. He says, actually it's because my guru thinks I'm a fool. He doesn't think that I have the ability to actually understand, because my intelligence is so deteriorated that I won't be able to understand these books. So that's why we use, in this age, we use the method of chanting and dancing, Hari Nam Sankirtana. So, which is basically a dig at the people of Kali Yuga, where our intelligence is such a state, we open the Vedanta Sutra, we have no idea what it is. Half the people, their commentaries on Bhagavat Gita and Vedanta Sutra are completely, like they'll read Bhagavat Gita and then they'll make up their own. I've seen one guy who's written 7 volumes on Bhagavat Gita, and all of them are complete nonsense. Krishna is saying that you meditate on my form. He is telling that no, actually Krishna is trying to say that you don't meditate in my form, you meditate in the impersonalism, like the Maya, the Brahma in me. He started making up his own thing. It's nowhere it's written in the Bhagavad Gita. There's no actual connotation to it. People are simply trying to make money and trying to put their own interpretations. But that's why it's very difficult for us to, understand these scriptures and all that. So it's made it very easy in this age by chanting of this Hare Krishna mantra, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now, why are we doing this Hare Krishna mantra? And what is this bhakti that we're talking about? Everywhere you hear bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga. Why cannot I sit and open my chakras, which so many people are doing in this age? What is this bhakti yoga? Why do you tell me that I can simply chant and dance and attain God? It doesn't feel very believable to me. The point is we need to understand Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, the entire idea behind it is selflessness, where we remove ourselves from this false ego. We don't see ourselves as whatever identities we set on ourselves. We see ourselves as eternal servants of the Lord. Jiva Swarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. The actual essence of human beings, a living entity, is their eternal servitors of the Lord. If you see, everything is working in accordance to Lord's plan. The sun is set, the sun is rising, the wind is going, everything is happening to His will. the hand, the thumb, as long as it's part of this body, it's useful. The second you cut off this thumb and you throw it, 10 people can stamp on it, it has no effect on you because it's no longer valuable to you. Similarly, since this living entity is separated from the Lord, we are suffering, we are in this miserable condition because now we are only obsessed with our own, pleasure and gratification, and that's not happening because it's not our essence. We have just put up these false identities and we're trying to, please ourselves with that. When we understand, Bhakti Yoga is trying to make us understand that we are actually eternal servitors and everything is done through, approaching it as a devotional service to the Lord. That's why you'll see, you see people who are in Rishikesh and trying to do dhyana yoga and all that. They try to do very difficult austerities. Close your eyes, stay in summer heat with your eyes closed and focus on that. I was seeing a Buddhist meditation course where they said, you see this wall and the floor, you see that crack, for 12 hours focus on that crack. It's impossible. Some fools will say, focus on nothing. What is nothing? They have no idea. They're simply just making up their own, meditation styles and all. All of that is not going to work. Bhakti Yoga, the good thing about it is it doesn't steal your senses. It doesn't say completely get rid of sense pleasures. You want to eat? Yes, but everything is done with the understanding that it's done for God, the Supreme Personality of Lordhead. That's why when we eat food, we offer it to the Lord. When we, sing songs, we sing bhajans, kirtans, we are chanting the name. So it's basically the 5 senses that we talked about, all of them are engaged in the service of the Lord. And out of them, the best and the most easiest one is the tongue. The tongue is the most powerful, and sound in general is the most powerful form of energy. Modern science is catching up to this now, but our Shastra knew it very long ago. The fun fact, the vibration of the universe that scientists and NASA have come out with is the same as the vibration of Om, which is 432 megahertz. They have done a research, it's the exact same. And the Shastras have said this, that even, in Bible they said first there was the word of God. Everybody is talking about how sound was important. There are stories in our Shastras where, rishis could actually kill a person by just starting hum, they could do that. Mantra was very powerful. Even in yagnas they were, chanting these sort of mantras and attaining powerful, siddhi, perfections, yogic perfections. That's why we should understand that sound is very powerful. You see, even, for example, Hitler, just through sound, Hitler was a great orator. It's written in every historical documentary. Hitler was a great orator. He could speak and people's hearts would be completely moved. He could speak so well, through sound vibration, he convinced millions of people to go and gaslight the Jews. Come and chop their heads off, put them in gas chambers. That's how powerful sound is. So many people are completely influenced by sound. How many times has it happened that you listen to a particular song and you maybe in a bad mood, you suddenly listen to the song and you catch up with the song and then all of a sudden your mood has changed. It's not like a made up thing. Science Harvard University has done a research where they said that your brain patterns actually change by the kind of sound that you listen to. So we can understand that sound is very powerful. And our Shastras knew this for a very long time. And that's why they've said that this chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is very, very potent, very, very powerful. It has every potency that a person is looking for. Because we need to understand Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is in the absolute platform, it's in the transcendental platform. Now, how do we understand relative and absolute? Relative means if your name is Nibir, if I say Nibir, there has to be a person, there has to be a form who's Nibir. It can't be saying that, okay, Nibir, and I understand, okay, this is how Nibir is. There has to be a person who's Nibir. Similarly, if I say there's a father, that means that if there's a father, there has to be a son. Everything is related. So that is the relative word. But Lord is not in that platform. Lord is in the absolute platform. What does absolute platform mean? The Lord, His name, His pastimes, His deity, everything has the same potency as the Lord. When you go to the temple and you look at the deity, if you see that it's marble, it will reciprocate in that way. But if you see it's the Supreme Lord standing in front of you, showering His mercy, it will act. I've seen so many people completely go stunned. In Mayapur, if you go, moment the curtains open, people are just like shocked. They can't move. I've seen people just stand over there with their hand closed, unmoving, unshaking. That's the power, because they're seeing something, they're able to perceive something that normal people with their delusion ideas are not. So that's what's important. And in this age, the chanting is, has the same potency of Lord. Because the chanting, the reason why people are saying that the chanting of the name of the Lord is greater than the Lord also is because the Lord was omnipresent throughout all the ages, but only through this chanting we were able to realize this. And the simplest argument, you might say that, oh, I don't believe this chanting, makes me attain God or whatever you're trying to prove. So then you start chanting. You chant, I can guarantee you this, you chant with your eyes closed for like an hour or something, and you come back to me and see if you have the same question. Chanting is practically proven, it's very practical, and everybody has seen changes. Prabhupada used to preach to hippies. Hippies, all this we spoke about, sense control and all that, hippies had no idea also about what is sense control. Even the smallest thought in their mind never occurred. So they used to just indulge in whatever sense pleasure they did. Just through this chanting, Prabhupada used to sit and with the kartal used to go Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and just through that chanting, so many people are converted. Now they have become brahmacharis, sannyasis. This chanting is very, very potent. And one good story that I saw in the scriptures was about Ram. There was a great devotee of Lord Ram who came to know that Lord Ram was giving his darshan, and lot of demigods, lot of great sages, Brahmins, everybody had lined up to take darshan of Lord Ram. Now, one of his devotees was walking by and someone of his friends told him, oh, Lord Ram is giving darshan. And this guy just lost it. He got excited. His hair stood up in his body and he just ran. He's like, where Lord Ram is giving darshan, and he ran. He saw Lord Ram standing and everybody was queuing up to offer him gifts and respect and all that. And he just broke the line and he fell flat on in front of Lord Ram. And he was tearing up, choking. It was a very emotional moment for him. He saw his Lord in front of him. However, the rishis over there, they were absolutely angry. They were very frustrated. The Vishwamitra, who was Lord Ram's guru, he said that who is this person? We are all standing in these lines. We are great sages and all. This guy just breaks the line and he starts, he thinks that he's more important to us. As per Dharma, he must be punished. You have to take action. And when a sage advises a king, it's a Kshatriya's rule to Kshatriya's Dharma to listen to the Brahmanas. So Lord Ram said, okay, I will shoot an arrow and in such a way that it will kill you by evening. He gave him a time that by this time this arrow will come and kill you. And this devotee is like, this is not what I was expecting. I thought I'd do darshan of Lord Ram. Here he is only going to kill me. So he got all scared and he went to the only person he thought who could help him was Hanuman. He went to Hanumanji and he said that this is what's happened. I don't know what to do. Please save me. Only you can save me. Hanumanji was in a fix because first he went to Hanuman's mother. Hanuman's mother told Hanuman. Now Hanuman was in a hard place because he didn't know Lord Ram was his eternal master. And then this guy, his mother had ordered him to help this guy. So now he didn't know what to do. After a lot of thinking and a lot of contemplation, he told, you go to the banks and you start chanting Lord Ram's name. You say Ram, 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 Ram. He went over there and he did exactly what Hanuman was telling him to do. He said, without your attention diverted, just simply chant. He kept on chanting. The time came when the arrow was supposed to shoot him. And the second the arrow was about to hit him, he was chanting Lord Ram's name. Hanuman came and he blocked the arrow, and the arrow offered its respect to Hanuman. That's like a thing they used to do. They used to chant mantras and the arrow had its own consciousness. So it actually offered respect to Lord Ram, to Lord Hanuman. And then Lord Ram and all these Brahmins, great sages, they came and they said, Hanuman, what are you doing? You're supposed to be a servant of Lord Ram. Here you're going against his will. This guy was supposed to be killed by Lord Ram. You are, defending him. He said that, my Lord, you yourself said that your name is more potent than you. He was chanting Lord Ram's name, and anybody who has Lord Ram's name on his tongue cannot be destroyed by anybody in this free world. So that completely protects you. Another story, as quickly said, I know we're going over time, but very quickly I'll just get on this because this story is kind of important to touch upon. There was this very great Brahmin called Ajamil. Ajamil was a very pious person, he used to fast and perform lots of austerities, penances, and he was living a very pious life, a life full of God consciousness. But one small trigger came in his life. One day he saw a prostitute approaching and embracing a man in a very lustful manner. And again, like we discussed, the mind is very fickle. No matter how much control you think you have, no matter how much practice you do, in 1 second his lust took over. It gave him very intense desires. And he forgot all about his penances and everything. And he simply approached the woman and he said that he made her his wife. And then after that, things went on. He had kids with her, and once that association he came across that bad association, that bad influence. He got into all sorts of bad activities. He forgot about all the penances and austerities he used to do. He started gambling, cheating, looting, robbing houses, and he was in a miserable place, because that's what sense gratification leads to. Even though you think that you're enjoying, from inside you feel empty. You feel like there's a wall inside you. So that's how he felt. He felt completely empty, like there was a vacuum inside him. But one day, a group of Brahmanas were walking by, and they were just passing through that village, and there was a storm. So they said that we are looking for a place to, stay for the night, so we can perform some sacrifices, and tomorrow we'll be on our way. Is there anybody who's a Brahman who we can, perform sacrifices in his house? Because they would only perform it in a Brahman's house. When they said Ajamal is a Brahmin, he lied to them. He didn't want to tell them that I've done all this in my life as well. I've cheated, robbed. He just was so desperate, so hungry for that association, that he said, yes, please perform those sacrifices in my house. Once they did that, something in his heart completely changed. He started tearing up, he started choking, and he completely, poured his heart out to these Brahmanas. He said, I've sinned very badly. I used to be a pious person, I used to perform these austerities, but look at how I've fallen. I'm cheating people, I'm looting people, I have kids with a prostitute. What should I do? I'm feeling miserable, help me out. So the Brahmins, they could already sense what he was going through. So through their divine vision, they told him that when you have a child, your wife is pregnant, when you have a child, name him Narayana. So when he had the child, he did exactly what the Brahmins told him. He named this son Narayana. And throughout his life, he went by his bad ways. And towards the end, when it was time, he was taking his last breath in his bed. He knew it was time for him to go, and at that time, at the moment of death, he started remembering the thing he desired the most, the thing where his mind was contemplating the most. So he kept on shouting his son's name. He was thinking about his son a lot. So he was thinking, Narayana, Narayana, help, 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 Narayana, Narayana. He kept on chanting Narayana. And at the end, when it was time for him to go, the Yamadutas, the people who take the body from the soul, and according to their karma they put him in a different body, they came and they were already ready to drag him out. But the Vishnu Dutas came now. The Vishnu Dutas are the servitors of Vishnu. They came and they said that they had a huge argument where they argued that even though he's committed all these sins, he has chanted the name of Narayana, chanting the name of the Lord. And because he's chanted the name of the Lord, millions of sins that he's accumulated have instantly been destroyed, because that's the potency of the name of the Lord. Once you chant it, you completely break through all your sins. It gives you everything. Once a person who chants, he knows Vedas, he knows the scriptures, he knows economy, he knows everything. All the knowledge of the four Vedas are as potent as the simple name of the Lord. So when he chanted that, the Vishnu Dutas had a huge argument with the Yamadutas, and then finally the Yamadutas had to go back. They had no valid argument left. And Ajamal came back to consciousness, and he realized, like, what have I done? And he, at the end, he continued with his penances, and at the end of his life, he went back to Godhead. So just one name of God, he just said Narayana like a couple of times, and he attained Godhead, in spite of doing all the sinful activities and all that. So that's how potent and powerful the name of the Lord is. And in this age, that's the only hope and the only benediction that we have at this time. We should really dedicatedly chant this holy name, because that is according to the Shastra, and the Shastras have been right consecutively, they've never been wrong. And it's practically been also visible. This chanting of the holy name can render all benediction to a human being, because the name of the Lord is equal to the Lord. It has all the potencies of the Lord. Only through the name of the Lord can one understand the form of the Lord. We say that why can I not see God? But none of us are qualified. Do we have the eyes to see? Like you say, I want to meet the President of Australia, the Prime Minister of Australia. You can't just get up and say, I want to see him. You need to have some sort of qualifications. You need to know people. You need to have some connections. You need to have some qualifications, some position. But we can't, so we need to get that qualification, that position. And that position is given to us by the chanting of the holy name. Chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That's why you'll see the Bhagavat Gita, Prabhupada, whenever he writes, like if he has to write about the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he'll never mention chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He'll always write the complete thing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Because he says, what if this person reads and one day suddenly decides to stop reading? What if he reads and that's the last day of his life? But even though it's his last day and he's not able to complete this, that simple chanting has got him so much benefit, has completely eradicated so many lifetimes of sins that he's accumulated, that it will have that kind of change. And the good thing about the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is there is no hard and fast rules to chant it. Even if somebody says, sarcastically, like, why are you chanting this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare, somebody is trying to mock you, even they will get that benefit. Even if somebody is listening, he'll get the benefit. And it's so powerful, not only human beings, the bees, the plants, the insects, the bird, the bee, everybody gets that benediction, everybody gets the mercy of the Lord. That's how potent the power of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is. We can practically see it. You will see people, even though they may not be very great singers or anything like that, simply they'll chant Hare Krishna, and people will be moved. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he used to chant Hare Krishna, tears used to fall out of his eyes, his hair and his body used to stand on it, and he used to jump in ecstasy. That's what people go through in that chanting. When you completely are enclosed in that chanting, when you're immersed in that, when you're absorbed in that. And like I said, whatever your intelligence is absorbed in, that's what's going to come to you in your life. So people who are absorbed in sense gratification, that's how their life goes. But if you're absorbed in the holy name of the Lord, you can at the end of your life achieve Godhead. Because Godhead, even though it might feel very difficult, the simple chanting of Hare Krishna can completely render that benediction to living beings. The chanting of Hare Krishna is very potent, and I request all of you to do it. There's no hard and fast rules. You can walk and chant. You can, sit in a sofa comfortably. You don't need to sit in a, yogic position. You don't need to close your eyes and open your third eye or whatever nonsense people are doing these days. You can simply sit and chant, and you will see the effect. It is very, very potent. It's a reason why the acharyas have given this, and this source has come directly from Lord Chaitanya, who is the incarnation of Krishna. He has given us this chanting because for the people of Kali Yuga, this is the only benediction. This is the only way, chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So I think I'll end it over here. Any more, any questions, any corrections, anything like that? Any doubts? Yes, bro.
Oh, you said that you gave one example that our human body regenerates in a certain time. Like you said, human body regenerates, the whole body regenerates in certain time. So, and you also mentioned that the mind causes all the stress, like those kind of things. And then you also said the mind is the thing that actually gets offended. That's why we get anger and wrath and that thing. So my question is, just like the body, can we regenerate our mind?
Mind can be regenerated by where your consciousness is attached. So a lot of people, when before coming to Krishna consciousness, they were into all sorts of bad activities, smoking, drinking, gambling, all of that stuff. Hippies, for example, they were completely into that. Their entire life started, they used to wake up early in the evening. Like people wake up early in the morning, these days to wake early in the evening, start their day with alcohol, drink, drugs, open sex anywhere, animalistic lifestyle. But through this chanting of Hare Krishna, the sound vibration, it was so transcendental that their hearts started to change and their minds also started to change. Now they didn't have the same people who used to drink alcohol started drinking Charanamrita of the Lord. The same people who used to indulge in gambling and all that used to not even have distaste towards it. Because supposing you're infected with jaundice, if I give you medicine, it will feel bitter at first. But if you keep on having the medicine over time, your jaundice will be cured, and that same medicine which you felt bitter now will start tasting sweet to you. Because now you're cured of this disease. So this mind that you're talking about, we just need to remove this disease, the material disease that which is accumulated over time. And this chanting of Hare Krishna is like dust accumulated on a mirror. When you wipe it off, how clean it is. It's exactly like that. It cleans the heart of all its anarthas, all of its material absorptions. When our mind is occupied, because mind will just go according to what the intelligence directed. So if your intelligence and your consciousness is now focused towards Lord, so focused towards pleasing the Supreme Personality of Lordhead, automatically your mind also will work on this way. It won't be like how can I indulge in the next sense gratification. It's like how can I serve Krishna. At this time I have off from work. Let me quickly go do some seva. It will start working like that. So your mind, your heart. See, it's all in a hierarchy. Your senses are controlled by your body. Your body is controlled by your mind. Mind is by intelligence. And the penultimate is soul. So when your soul, your consciousness is fixed towards a particular goal, naturally all the other things will fall in part. Like if a principal in a school makes a rule, all the head of department, the teachers, the student, all of them naturally will have to follow because the principal is the predominant thing. Similarly, wherever your consciousness is fixed, according to that, your intelligence and mind will move. So that's what even the Hare Krishna movement is chanting is doing. It removes your consciousness from this sick, materialistic, diseased lifestyle and get into God realization, the Brahma Bhuta stage. Understanding the eternal soul and understanding the supreme personality of Lord. Because at the end of the day, all of us are part and parcels of the Lord and we have to serve Him. It's given in our Shastra. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, Galau naste eva naste eva naste gater anyata. Which means that in this age of Kali, there is no other benediction but chanting the names of Hari. There's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. That means just see how powerful the names of Hari is. And you'll see a lot of people, their name like his name Krishna Das Prabhu. You'll see Rama Krishna Chandra or something. They all have God names. This was a very big thing in India. A lot of people have names after God. Why is that? Because even that small thing, they even jokingly say, hey, Gopal, come over here. Somebody's kid's name Gopal. Just saying that they're still chanting. Because chanting doesn't have any, you don't need to intentionally chant it. Ajamil didn't intentionally chant it. He just chanted it. He was not even talking about a God. He was talking about his son. But just through that one chanting of his son, he took the name of Hari from his tongue. He got the benediction. We can engage a tongue all the time and it's not very difficult. Yoga and all that, you need to follow some sort of rules and regulations. You need to be on an empty stomach, you need to take cold shower, this, that. There are a lot of rules, you can't follow it. In today's age, it's very difficult. But the chanting you can do anytime. You can be at work, you can do that, you can constantly engage your tongue in that. It does not answer the question.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions, anything like this?
Is Ganeshwam Prabhu gonna take class from here on?
He might drop in a couple of times. He has not yet told us what dates, but he might drop in.
So mostly it would be through the youth, is it from going?
For now, yes, but
We will do a round of youth classes. Because Ranjan Prabhu is busy for a few weeks.
yeah, a lot of like programs going on in the temple right now, so he's caught up in that as well. Alright.
Any questions?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jagadguru Shri Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Shri Shri Prabhupada Bhagwan ki Jai. Jagannath Mandir Subramaniya ki Jai. Govinda ki Jai.
With my eyes very high.
इसमें से इसी से मिसे है ना पूरा मैं तो अभी से मुझे तो बोलवा स्लाइड